Hello, I'm Orande Sherman,
I'm Maeve Kuipers.
And I'm Sion Mathew.
and we did our presentation on North American bird biomass decline. Now, as a result of climate change, over the past 48 years, a total of roughly 3.2 billion birds have been lost. The following graph breaks down the change in bird biomass over the years. The first image shows the total loss, with the arrow bound included in the gray. The second graph color codes certain breeding biomes that all combine into the image on the left. As you can see, some biomes are hit much harder than others. For example, grassland and boreal forests are hit seemingly the hardest. The third graph is the second, but it's a bar graph, and it shows percentages instead of total losses. So as you can see, for example, the grassland biome has lost over 40% of its bird biomass. This image is a more granular breakdown of the problem at hand. Certain families of birds are being disproportionately affected by climate change. The named families are those that have lost at least 50 million individuals. So this isn't all the families, but these are the families that are hit the hardest. While very few of the birds listed are endangered, the extinction of the passenger pigeon, which at one point may have been the most abundant bird on the continent, shows us that we still must be vigilant in taking care of our bird populations. Now we're going to get into exactly what's happening to North America's birds.
Before we can get into the ways climate change affects North America's birds, we need to ask the question, why care? Birds perform a number of ecosystem services that are important to the everyday function of our nation. The first important service is pest control. Birds, such as birds of prey and insectivores, reduce the density of insect and rodent populations, and this has a positive impact on the growth of food crops and helps reduce the spread of disease. Another important ecosystem service is seed dispersal. Birds are extremely mobile and can migrate long distances, making them invaluable in the ability of plants to spread to new habitats and maintain a diverse gene pool. Other ecosystem services include pollination and nutrient cycling, as well as scavenging. Now, while vultures may not be the most popular bird, scavengers like vultures are an important part of the natural environment's cleanup crew, and these birds reduce the spread of disease by speeding up the decomposition of rotting carcasses. One of the main ways that climate change is affecting birds directly is through the spread of diseases. As the average temperature of the globe increases, the range of disease-carrying mosquitoes is spreading north and infecting larger amounts of birds. This puts the North American bird population at future risk of outbreaks of diseases like avian malaria and the West Nile virus. An outbreak of avian malaria has already been ravaging the Hawaiian Islands for years. One species, the Akoheke, whose range has been reported by the Hawaiian government to have been reduced by 61%, and there are only 1,657 birds remaining on Maui due to the avian malaria. Climate change also increases drought and causes extreme heat, which can stress the birds' bodies and cause them to gather close together around water sources, which is contributing to the spread of diseases like avian influenza. As you can see, avian influenza has already spread to over 82 million poultry birds in the US, putting our food supply at risk. Another way climate change affects birds is through habitat loss. Drought and fire destroy precious nesting habitat. Shifting ranges are especially effective against mountainous birds who move upwards as their original habitats get hotter, but eventually they risk running out of land to run to. Marine ecosystems are collapsing, and stronger storms are putting seabirds at risk, and rising sea levels are damaging coastal habitats, such as the nesting grounds of seabirds and the habitat of salt marsh sparrows. Another not as well-known way that climate change is affecting birds is through phenological mismatch, which is the study of seasonal natural events. This can occur when the emergence of caterpillars appears earlier and earlier in the year due to the warming climate, but birds remain on their traditional annual cycle and arrive too late to feed on the caterpillars and raise their young.
Invasive species also impose significant threats to native bird populations. Invasive species outcompete native birds for essential resources such as food. They can also disrupt local ecosystems by altering food chains and ecological interactions. They can also prey on native bird species with their aggressive behavior and territorial dominance. They also have the ability to introduce new diseases, as Maeve said. One famous example is the European starling. The European starling, originally introduced to North America, has rapidly expanded in its range, displacing native bird species and causing ecological imbalances. Another issue is outdoor cats. Outdoor cats pose a significant threat to bird populations. Studies estimate that in the United States alone, outdoor cats kill hundreds of millions of birds per year. Another leading cause is window collisions. These also kill millions of birds annually across North America due to collisions with windows. Now, what can you do? First of all, you can reduce your carbon footprint. Climate change affects bird habitats, migration patterns, and food availability. You can also support climate change mitigation policies. You can also minimize your pesticide use and participate in citizen science, which involves joining birdwatch events, reporting bird sightings, and contributing to scientific studies. And also, you can simply just build birdhouses to provide safe nesting sites for birds.
And as Sion was saying, and it's something that we want to emphasize, is that the situation is not hopeless. Many families of birds have seen gains over the years, notably waterfowl and raptors. This is mostly attributed to wetland conservation efforts, as well as programs to conserve raptors directly, and this has resulted in these families of birds ultimately increasing over time. These conservation efforts can give us a model for how to conserve the habitats of other bird populations. While the situation is not hopeless, it could very easily become one, and we need to put the work in order to save North America's birds. Thank you for listening to our presentation.